Welcome back, everybody. This Week in America, website thisweekinamerica.us. Thank you for joining us on the program. As mentioned, we're going to pick up a conversation of a couple of weeks ago with Dr. Susan Smith-Jones. Normally during this time of year, people can expect to pick up 5 to 12 pounds. We're real close to the major holidays, Christmas and New Year's. How are you doing? If you picked up some weight, we'll talk about how you can take it off maybe in the next, and avoid putting it on over the course of the next couple of weeks. If you're still doing okay and haven't gained a lot of weight, some good tips to get you through the next couple of weeks. We've got a lot of holiday parties still coming up. We've got that big week between, everybody's watching television, between Christmas and New Year's. It's a very tempting time of the year. You've got a lot of Christmas treats to be eating. With us back in the program, as I mentioned, Dr. Susan Smith-Jones, a world-renowned motivational speaker, author, expert on weight loss, looking younger and healthy living. And she's got some tips that will help keep off the extra weight over the course of the next couple of weeks. Dr. Susan Smith-Jones. Dr. Smith-Jones, welcome to the program.
Hey, Rick, it's great to be back with you. Happy holidays.
Well, yes, and same to you. And I'm thinking as I'm going through that, is it too late? If we've already put on maybe 6 of those pounds, do we just give up and go, okay, it's inevitable, I'm going to go ahead and eat for the next week or so? Or can we do something to reverse it at this point in time?
No, oh boy, you can absolutely reverse it. You know, the tips I gave last time we'll recap in a moment, and these now current tips that I'll give you, they'll all make a positive difference. Yeah, so never think you have to give up. There's always things you can do.
So even if you stepped on the scales this morning and you're thinking, whoops, I did gain 6 of those pounds and I can expect a few more, don't worry, we're going to give you tips to get through this. Now, on the last program, and if you go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, you can go to the YouTube link and see the last program we did with Dr. Susan Smith-Jones, and we gave some tips at that point in time. It was a couple weeks ago to get into the Thanksgiving season. What we're going to do now is briefly recap those and pick up some more. So it's a good refresher if you've listened to the program before. If not, you'll hear these for the first time, and we'll give you some new tips as well. So let's go back and recap what you talked about the last time, because these tips make a lot of sense, and these are tips that you've used and used with people you deal with for a number of years very effectively.
Yeah, it's different eating tips, behavioral modification, and also lifestyle changes that you can make. One quick tip is, you know, it's often a common strategy to skip breakfast and lunch because you know this big holiday meal's coming up. But when you do that, you end up arriving at the meal starving and often eat way more than you ever intended. So it's important to eat small meals frequently, every 2.5 to 3 hours. The day of a big holiday event, a holiday party, a family get-together, a big buffet, to help stabilize your blood sugar. So that's one tip. Another is if you're going out still doing your Christmas shopping and...
What do you mean still? It's like starting your Christmas shopping. Are you kidding me?
That's right. That's right. For some people, they're just starting. But, you know, roaming the malls for hours and sitting in holiday traffic leaves everybody starving and vulnerable to the fast food choices. And if you were a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout, you know to be prepared. And so prepare to roam around with some crunchy, healthy snacks like apples, tangerines, celery, carrots, good things like that. Because if you do that, you'll be less likely to succumb to the call of the food court and fast food restaurants. And about an hour to 90 minutes before you go to that big holiday dinner or party, have something to eat, like vegetable juice, tomato juice, whole grain toast with a little almond butter on it, maybe a cup of vegetable soup. Because if you do that before you arrive to the party or the family gathering, you'll watch your willpower soar and your waistline will stay in place. And if you're at a party and there's a big buffet of food, don't hang out right at the table. Put some distance between you and the food, because that way you'll have to walk back and forth to go get the food, and this will help burn a few extra calories. You know, another thing is you don't always have to eat just to be social or because everybody around you is eating. You can always nibble on a celery stick or sip on some low-calorie beverage. Watch out for all those processed carbs. They're everywhere. The white sugar, white flour, bread, crackers, cookies, chips, whatever they are, because they have little to no fiber, and what that does is it very quickly turns into fat in your body, And then, another one is sleep. If you don't get enough sleep at night, and I'm talking about a solid 7 to 8 hours, that primes your body the following day to eat very high-calorie processed foods, and also to hold on to all the calories you eat. In other words, you lose your willpower the next day to select healthier foods if you haven't gotten enough sleep.
So each day basically starts with a good night's sleep, and we've talked about that before, and you'll find a lot of the programs with Dr. Susan Smith-Jones on our YouTube channel, iTunes as well. We'll give you that information later on in the program. And I want to mention your website because there is really so much information there, susansmithjones.com. Go to thisweekinamerica.us and you can link on directly to that. Tell us about some of the things we'll find on the website. You've got some specials this time of year, too, and we can get some of the 25 books that we've talked about.
Yeah, I definitely do. So at susansmithjones.com, you want to click right there on the home page on the December newsletter, because you'll get all of these 20 tips for you to stay healthy during the holidays. And make sure you click on blog. It's right over in the navigation bar on the left side, right next to home. And on the blog, take a look at the first 3 blogs. The first one is all about the best kind of water to drink year-round, but especially during the holidays, that will help you, it will prevent gaining weight. And if you gain weight, it will help take it off. And the second blog is about heat therapy. It's literally about how an infrared sauna can make, one session in the sun is like jogging 2 to 3 miles, gives a great glow to your skin, but it really helps you burn more calories, helps get rid of extra weight and cellulite. And then the third blog, Rick, is all about these 20 tips to help you keep weight off and fatigue at bay during the holidays. And then finally, right on the home page, if you scroll halfway down, I have my latest books that are all on sale, and when you purchase, you'll see the different options. When you purchase a trio set, you get my entire series of natural remedy booklet CD combos, absolutely free, and they're all autographed and sent to wherever you want them sent. And, of particular interest should be Walking on Air. It's my 30-day detox rejuvenation program that's great to start on January 1st, and that goes with the Joy Factor, 10 Sacred Practices for Radiant Health. They go together. They're part of one of the trio sets.
And you'll get all that information at her website, susansmithjones.com. Again, you can link on at our website and go directly there and get that information. We've talked about the over 25 books that Dr. Jones has written over the years, and it's great because, and Walking on Air is, I keep coming back to that, don't I? That's my favorite because it makes so much sense, and you lay it out. We've got 30 different steps here. You sort of walk us through the process, and suddenly at the end of the month, if you follow, it's like, this wasn't all that difficult, and I feel a lot better.
That's right. It takes about 10 minutes a day. I give you an action step. I give you a simple little lesson, some inspiration, and then each day builds on the previous day. And the cumulative effect is designed to bring you to a new level of vibrant health, deeper joy, and a more peaceful, balanced life, so that your spirit can soar. That's how we all want to feel the beginning of the new year.
Yes, and all that information at Dr. Susan's website, susansmithjones.com. She is our guest on This Week in America, our website, thisweekinamerica.us. We're talking about some of the tips to avoid gaining a lot of extra weight, and most experts say 5 to 12 pounds during this period between Thanksgiving and the first of the year. Back to that list, and there's some other tips that we have not had a chance to talk about. We touched on one sort of a minute ago, talking about the right kind of water, and you also alluded to fiber. How important are those two items? And you mentioned fiber is really a key. In fact, you say that it's really going to be one of the secret weapons to get us through the holidays.
Yeah, it definitely is. Fiber, and you only get fiber in plant-based foods. You don't get any fiber in animal products. But fiber is a huge player in the weight loss field. It contributes to a feeling of fullness, And the key is this: during the holidays or year-round, you always want to consume as many high-fiber foods as possible before attacking the other food. And, you know, at any party you go to, buffets, they always have some healthy alternative. Lots of times you can find raw vegetables. Just because it's the holidays doesn't mean you shouldn't have some healthy food in your body. So raw veggies contain sufficient bulk to fill you to some degree before you turn to the high-sugar, low-fiber junk foods that convert to fat right away. And you just mentioned water. Even a little bit of dehydration lowers your basal metabolic rate, which means you'll burn fewer calories. And keep in mind this, that you want to still exercise during the holidays, because and we'll talk more about this next month, but the control mechanism for obesity or gaining weight, it's really not diet as much as it is muscle metabolism. Your basal metabolic rate is the rate at which your body utilizes energy, and exercise is the key to controlling metabolism. And whenever you exercise, you rev up, you supercharge your metabolism, which means for the rest of the day and evening, even when you're sitting and sleeping, you're burning more calories. So especially on a day where you know you've got lots of food to eat, find a way to get in some exercise, and that way you can burn more calories and probably enjoy the food more, because you feel better when you exercise.
Yeah, you feel like, okay, this is not all that bad because I am getting in some exercise, so my life isn't totally changing during this 4 or 5 week period. We sort of keep extending that every year, and all of a sudden it's like a 6-week holiday period.
Right.
We try to give ourselves grace during that period. Our guest on This Week in America is Dr. Susan Smith-Jones. Her website is susansmithjones.com. Among the tips, and this is interesting because you say this could be the most important, and it's really so simple. You say eat slowly. Can't get much more simplistic than that.
Well, this is actually a two-sided tip, behavior modification tip. And, Rick, I can't tell you how important this is. If you would just pay attention to this year-round, you will find that you can keep weight off easier and not keep yo-yoing up and down. So the first side of this tip is to eat slowly, because hormones signal the brain when you're full. But it takes about 20 minutes from start time before you feel it. So slow eating not only aids in digestion, but gives your brain a chance to know what your stomach is doing. So if you make a meal last by talking, putting down your fork between bites, or just plain waiting, you're less likely to eat on automatic pilot and more likely to realize you're full. And besides eating slowly, you always want to chew your food thoroughly, because you'll be amazed at how much willpower you can generate when you take your time and give that satiety center an opportunity to tell you that you aren't that hungry anymore. But here's the flip side, and most people have never heard of this. While you want to eat slowly, in other words, make it take longer than 20 minutes, you still want to finish your big meals within an hour of starting. And here's why. Rick, this is so important. The body produces a second insulin hit if it senses that a lot of food is coming in continuously. And you can avoid that second hit and the subsequent fat storage that it triggers by finishing within an hour of starting. So if you see something that you like and you forgot to eat within the hour, like pumpkin or pecan pie, apple pie, you can save it for later or tomorrow. It will still be there. You won't be wearing it on your hips. And you think about all these bowl games coming up, and people have these parties, and all day long they're watching TV and sitting and eating. And that type of eating really packs on the pounds quickly.
It's interesting. I never heard that before. So take your time, but don't take hours eating. In fact, you're saying, anything over an hour, and it's really detrimental.
Yes, it is.
Interesting. Information at the website, susansmithjones.com. Rapidly running out of time here, but that really is great information. And you're talking about eating pie. One thing I want to emphasize in the tips that you're giving, and you say this is not a diet. This is not a diet. It's what sort of a lifestyle information. And if you follow this, you're going to feel a lot better and look a lot better.
Oh, absolutely. Because if you think of yourself as going on and off a diet, you're going to get into trouble.
Yes.
Because as soon as you think or feel like you've gone off the diet, then sometimes you go off, really go off, like in the deep end. So don't set yourself up for disaster. And psychologically, a smaller plate that's filled looks like a lot of food. So I say, if possible, rather than taking, say you go to a buffet, a big plate of food, take a smaller plate and, fill that up. And you can always go back for seconds if you feel like it, but you'll find that you'll eat less food. I also say, as I mentioned, chew twice as long, and if at all possible, literally use chopsticks. They make you eat slower, and you often eat smaller amounts of food, and you impress people when people see how much dexterity you have with using your fingers and the chopsticks. Obviously, they don't work well with soup, but, I always carry a pair of chopsticks with me wherever I go. A beautiful pair, actually.
Interesting. And all of this information is available at Dr. Susan's website, which is very simple, susansmithjones.com. You can link onto our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and get this information as well. It is great information that we've had during the course of the program and much more at her website. It's always a pleasure to have her with us on the program. We got a couple minutes left here. And one thing you talk about, and this is so important, and probably do a whole program on it, is portion control. And so often we consider portions to be what they serve us at a restaurant. And when you really find out what a portion is, it's shocking because it's about half of what we consider a portion. How do we know what a real portion is?
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
And I'll get into this in great detail with you next month. But, remember, about the size of your palm is almost about the size of your stomach. And the more heavy-duty food you eat in excess, and the more you expand those stomach muscles, the more they stick out more, the more they don't go back into place, and the more you're used to eating way too much food. And I'm not saying at all during the holidays to skip all these foods you love, but keep in mind that you want to eat reasonably smaller portions. And remember, it is okay to taste things without finishing them. I know I was raised in a family that when I was a little girl, it was always, you make sure you clean your plate, Susan, because the children in China aren't getting enough food.
Yep, heard the same thing.
Did you hear that?
Yep.
So, and remember, you never want to be famished when you come to a meal, because that makes you almost inhale your food, and you're done within 20 minutes. The other day I did a wonderful health retreat, and I looked at the people that came to this event. There were about 30 people. Half of them had an infrared sauna, and the same half also had that Ionizer Plus to get the good alkaline water that helps you lose weight and detoxify your body. And all of those people that had the infrared sauna and drank the alkaline water from the Ionizer Plus daily, none of them gained weight over the last few weeks, even with Thanksgiving, whereas the other half of the group, none of them had an infrared sauna or that good alkaline water machine. They all gained weight.
Interesting. And all of this information, again, available at the website, susansmithjones.com. About 30 seconds or so left in the program. We talked about some of the items on the website. You also have some specials. What's available now? How can people get information?
Yeah, well, right on the home page, I have 2 free ebooks you can get. One's on detoxification and rejuvenation. The other's on the curative kitchen. And if you go to blog and check out my first 3 or 4 blogs, there are lots of gifts there. And in the December newsletter, I've got 3 or 4 gifts, including a beautiful, free, full-color cookbook.
Ooh, fantastic. Happy holidays from Dr. Susan, eh?
Yeah, happy. That's right. I like giving out things like that free.
Well, a wealth of information at the website. You can link on at our website, thisweekinamerica.us, or go directly to susansmithjones.com. Dr. Susan, it is always a pleasure. We'll be back in January and get people through that traumatic period, no matter where you live. It's sort of a downtime during the year. The holidays are over with, usually ending with the thud. If you live in the Midwest, in the Northeast, even the Middle Atlantic states, you're getting some snow, and we'll help people through that. We'll talk about that the 1st of January when Dr. Susan is back with us on the program. Happy holidays, and thank you for being with us on the program.
Thank you so much. Happy holidays and a healthy and happy New Year to everybody.
You're listening to This Week in America, website thisweekinamerica.us.